One of the first things that I did was I flew out to Seattle and spent some time with him to talk to him about the six-man role and how this could have an impact not only on us but also an impact on him. He really embraced the opportunity. We've been a playoff team the prior 2 years, so having him come in with kind of the sole notion that, hey, he's going to be a six-man, he's going to make things happen. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not so good. But that's what a six-man does, and I think every high-quality elite team always had a great six-man, whether it was Ginobili with San Antonio or Jason Terry with Dallas, and then you go way back to the Vinnie Johnsons, to the Kevin McHale's, to the Havliceks. They all were impact players on their club by coming off the bench, and Jamal has given us that shot in the arm.
So obviously, Rick's son very happy with the addition of Jamal Crawford, and I honestly think they'd be a much better team if they had a couple of more role players on their bench, but Jamal Crawford really turned that team around in this regular season. He really was that spark they needed to come off the bench.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily about them, needing a couple of more role players on that team. I think right now this Orlando team is just really that much better.
Yeah.
It's just really that much better.
These games are not even competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about the quarterfinals of the NBA playoffs. We're talking about 20-point wins, 30-point wins. And this is even coming back to Atlanta now. Where Atlanta hadn't even lost more than 10 games in the regular season at home, and they can't even keep in a game with Orlando. I remember, I think Adam, you were saying last week that good because there was no way Milwaukee would be able to compete with Orlando. Well, I mean, it looks like Atlanta can't either. I mean, Orlando is undefeated in the playoffs, though, right?
Could you imagine if the Hawks are getting blown out this bad, how bad it would have been for Milwaukee?
Yeah, I mean, you might see some 60-point outputs from Milwaukee.
The way I look at it, the Hawks, in my opinion, actually do match up pretty good with the Magic. It's just not showing.
Well, the way they're playing,
you're not getting production from Joe Johnson. Also, your star player, and especially with free agency coming up, this just makes you wonder.
But it's not also when you're looking at these Hawk games. I mean, they just look like they're lost on the court. I mean, they just don't look like they haven't played. It looks like an NBA team playing a junior varsity high school basketball team out there. I mean, the Hawks, for as great as Orlando's been playing, is also as bad as the Hawks have been playing. They just look totally different.
They look lost.
They look extremely lost.
And this is not new experiences for them. I mean, they were in the playoffs now.
Yeah.
They took on Boston head-to-head. So I think there's no excuse for how poorly Atlanta is playing right now.
Well, we got other awards that were given out. The Rookie of the Year award went to Tyreek Evans from the Sacramento Kings. What do you guys feel about Tyreek Evans getting Rookie of the Year?
Go ahead.
All right, I'm sorry.
You guys are so polite to each other.
Yeah. I'm in
we're
the
so
good mood today.
We're so anxious to get all these Rookies of the Year.
Well, all right. You know what? Tyreek Evans definitely deserved it. I mean, looking at his numbers, I mean, he averaged 20 points a game, 5 rebounds a game, close to 6 assists a game. Now, I always look at this comparison. Jordan, Kobe Bryant, guys like that, when their first years in the league, they didn't average points. They didn't put up this type of numbers. So, to me, this is phenomenal that he did this. He also shot 46% from the field. I mean, pretty much this guy is playing like he's been in the league for years. As far as compared to other players, I think my runner-up would be Stephen Curry over Brandon Jennings. Main reason being is Brandon Jennings, to me, he had that 55-point game outburst in the beginning. Everybody was infatuated with him. Everybody fell in love with him. But you know what? He only shot 38% in the field, and he was very sporadic and inconsistent. Stephen Curry played under control. He has his calm. He's he presents himself very well. Great shooter. He was definitely my runner-up with this. But not to derail a little bit, but Tyreek Evans he just put up phenomenal numbers this year, and he deserves this award. And how could he not get this award? I don't know what else to say.
I guess really the only shame here is that Evans. I don't really have a problem with Evans winning the Rookie of the Year. He plays in Sacramento, so we don't get to see his games.
He plays in Sacramento. Okay. That's another thing you got to factor into this.
How many TNT or how many games have you seen? Did we have any Kings broadcasts this year?
Well, I mean, when you watch the TNT, it's the same 3 teams.
I'm a little upset
LeBron, Kobe.
that you got guys like Evans and even Curry. I mean, Jennings, obviously the Bucks made the playoffs, but let's say Evans and Curry, those two players are on some pretty poor teams. They're not getting a lot of publicity. They're not going to be on ESPN, TNT, any of those channels. When I have to look at these guys, I'm going by stats only. I wish I could see more of these guys. The NBA has always prided themselves on broadcasting and marketing the player over the team. But yet, if that's the case, why don't they have Kings games, Warriors games, so we could see these phenomenal players like Evans and Curry? I mean, every time I talk about Evans, I have to look at his stats first. I don't see any games. I think the NBA needs to promote. They need to promote their players.
Put these guys on ESPN. Put these games on.
These guys
on
are
TNT.
good.
They have to. Because
let me
good.
ask you
They're
this.
fun to watch.
This is their future.
Let's say the NBA channel or ESPN, any one of the TNT, what would you rather watch? Let's say LeBron, I keep calling LeBron, the Cavs versus, let's say, a real bad team, whether it be Cavs versus,
let's say they do a Cavs Sixers.
Cavs, what would you rather watch, Cavs Sixers, or would you rather watch Sacramento versus Golden State? Two bad teams, but yet you get to see a lot of young players. What would you guys rather see?
I'd rather watch the two bad games. What is it? If you said Sacramento and
Golden
State,
because they match up better. They're both bad teams.
It might be an entertaining game.
Exactly, the game's going to be much closer.
If I pick that game to watch, I'm sure I'll be able to watch Cleveland the next day.
And you get to see these rookies.
That's the point.
These rookies go to bad teams. The ones that you watched in college, the ones that were up and coming, first picks in the draft, they go to the bad teams. That's usually, and Sacramento's a really bad team.
And I don't want to forget about them. I want to be able to watch it.
Yes,
exactly.
I agree.
So it takes away. So they got to show this. Bottom line is they got to put this on ESPN. They got to put these players on ESPN, TNT,
Let me see
NBA teams.
Yeah,
show me the players.
Show me the players.
I'm sick and tired of watching LeBron James, Kobe Bryant. It's the same
guy.
games every week. TNT, same stuff. Change it up, for the love of Pete.
You'll see, and sometimes you'll see Cleveland Friday night ESPN, Thursday night TNT,
Wednesday,
Friday
Thursday,
night ESPN,
Friday,
right?
Yeah, and then Sunday.
I'm not in a market where I need to see LeBron James every night.
Well,
show me something. I want to see Tyreek Evans.
Other players that don't really get the spotlight on the Houston Rockets won the Most Improved Player of the Year award. Aaron Brooks, their point guard. How do you guys feel about Aaron Brooks?
Aaron Brooks is my boy, man. Aaron Brooks is going to be an all-star.
I didn't know Aaron Brooks was anybody's boy.
He's your boy.
I wonder if he's
What,
listening.
do you know him?
He might have made his day just now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, he deserves a recognition. This guy is a phenomenal player. He's a great shooter. He shot 40% from the three-point field this year, but he's got a quick crossover dribble. He's an all-star. He's going to be an all-star. He's on the threshold of greatness.
All right, well, on the other side of this break, we're going to finish talking about Aaron Brooks and discuss the Phoenix Suns and have the countdown of the week for you guys. So stick around. You're listening to Talkin Hoops on chataboutit.com, powered by CBS. We'll be right back.